action. Let's continue with the matches. It's Cloud9 versus Ghost with the commentary, Shogun and Lawler.
Stop doubting us. That's what Lefemir tweeted last week, and he would have liked to have proved that, but he's not going to be here.
He's been having some issues with his disconnect issues. Obviously, with him, they don't have a sub, which makes it very difficult. And the last time we had a sub issue, if you guys remember way back, Flying Dutchman, Vogan didn't have a sub, and they didn't get to qualify. I mean, they didn't need it because they didn't make it.
Exactly. Can't argue that sort of thing all the time, apparently.
I mean, that means they really needed it.
Yep. Shame they didn't, though, really. But yeah, we're going to get ourselves into this game soon enough. Ghost versus Cloud9. Both of these teams currently undefeated. Ghost taking a huge win last week against NRG. However, it's Cloud9. Cloud9 has been the hot team in NA over the past few months. They have remained the hot team coming into the RLCS. But a win here for Ghost really puts them up there as solid contenders for the RLCS NA Championship.
In this situation, you need someone that you can trust to make a touch or to just buy time in general. Anything that's going to give you a little bit of relief on pressure, especially against a team like Cloud9 that's going to put on pretty much the most shots out of any team that you're going to go up against. So in that situation, I agree. Put Zane Jackie or allow him to lead the charge. One of those ways he just has to get involved in the sense that he's going to be able to allow these players some relief so they have time to think. Cloud9 is one of those teams that doesn't allow that to happen easily.
Slingshot defense will be required from Ghost. They cannot allow those passing plays to happen. From Ghost Gaming, here's Zane Jackie looking to put off the backboard. Will there be a follow-up? It's going to come in from Blues, but Squishy takes that one away, and he's going to use that again off the backboard. Ghost Gaming having a prolonged period of offense. That is good rotation so far, but backed away from by Classics, allowing Torment to come in for the challenge. I'm not too sure how much I agree with that because it's kept them in the defensive end against a very strong team at stealing those boosts away, keeping the opponent pressured. Like a slightly more flashy Northern Gaming squad is how I describe Cloud9.
It's kind of reminiscent of that in that sense where they mechanically definitely have the individual play, but as for just the typical 1, 2, 3 in the back of the net, that to me is what you're talking about with Northern Gaming. Obviously not using the backboard, but still quick infield pass plays and then just an immediate shot.
Put it all the way in. Classics has himself his back turned. If there's any rule when you're playing against Cloud9, especially when you're in defense, you do not turn your back.
A lot of it too on defense. They need to make sure they're carrying through the momentum. These guys spending a lot of the time when they get to net, doing the 180 and then hitting the brakes. In reality, they need to keep that momentum going through as Squishy is going to go through this entire team on his own, allowing him and Torment to work together. Oh, what? Oh my God, Squishy, you're insane.
The bully continues to bully, and he will love to bully as he just gets that nibble at Classics. Gimmick's going to come in for his first goal of the series.
That's so unfortunate for Classics. For Squishy to pop him just enough to where he pinches the ball on his own net. Oh, that's just so unlucky.
Blues gets it over into the corner. Cloud9 put themselves 2 goals up in our second game. So they're starting to find that passing range now off that backboard. Looking for the follow-up from Gimmick. Gimmick ends up missing, though. More offensive pressure coming through. Blues looking for a way, but Classics has set that one up for Torment, and Torment gets the touch, gets Blues, gets the goal.
Difficult position to be in as well for Blues. You see Classics playing that back inside. Big mistake the entire time. Instead of clearing that downfield or carrying it on the wall, that's what we're talking about Zane Jackie possibly being that back man to buy some time for his team. Just the ability to carry it down, but as soon as he makes that extra touch, it goes back inside perfectly for Torment. Torment has all the space he needs in the world, just an easy shot, and just adds insult to injury with that demo on the top.
C9 starting to flex their muscles in this series. Convincing lead so far. Ghost Gaming only managing the 1 goal in the 7.5 minutes of gameplay that we have seen so far. They need to find another way of creating themselves opportunities. Torment with the flick up. Can he take it the entire way? Takes it past one with the fake. Cannot get the finish, though. So difficult to do all those sorts of plays.
It's difficult, too, because after all that time and boost spent, Classics has the ability to carry it a little bit longer and play it downfield, but he doesn't. He just takes a mistake of a touch, throws possession right back away, and then an inevitable goal again for Cloud9 through pressure.
I'm not too sure what happened here. Classics left it, Zane Jackie left it, and Torment took it.
Took more than that. He took his life, too.
Seems to be a running theme with these goals. Goal, bump, demo. 1 or 2 of those always seem to happen.
It's like, God, what's that one movie? Dodgeball? Like duck, dive, dodge. Now it's bump, demo, goal, demo, goal.
And for Ghost Gaming, Cloud9 are literally the cars that must be dodged.
Dodge car.
You can dodge a car, you can dodge a ball.
Not that you want to dodge the ball, because you need to make the save.
Torment now up on that wall, goes for the far side. 4-0. Ghost Gaming still trying to find their footing in this series. As Blues gets the past 1. It's the most difficult thing, though, in the RLCS. Something that you don't see until you get into the much higher level of play. That getting it past 1 player is almost expected of you. But that second player is always there, ready to try and clean up. Classics puts that one. It's gone off the backboard. Blue's looking for his second of the series. Can't quite make it. And Zainjaki asking way too much of himself with that potential shot. C9 going to start using their whip yet again, but Blue's been very strong when he's ever been allowed to get into the net and run forward for these tackles. Now just make something pretty decent out of them, but now they need to find a way of getting it from the tackle down and transitioned into the other end of the field. Here comes Blues. He's taking his time. Flick up. That's going to allow Zainjaki to move in, but too slow, too floaty. Allows Gimmick to move in for the block, but Ghost Gaming starting to control this midfield, and a big challenge from Classics opens the net.
Big change of pace there towards the end for Ghost. You just see them beating Cloud9 to the ball for the first time in quite a while, and it pays off. Cloud9 obviously sending a lot more aggression, and that's kind of the big difficulty as well when they start to get these leads. They don't really have any remorse. They don't have to worry about any counter whatsoever, so they can just keep that pressure going without dealing with any consequence whatsoever. And it pays off as Torment's going to sneak another one into the bottom left.
Sneaky deaky-like, but if you're going to miss the ball like that, Zainjaki, you have to live with the consequences. And the consequence is an open net for Cloud9 to get their fifth.
Yeah, a lot of it does just have to do that one goal they were managing to get scrounged up just simply by over-pressuring. Obviously, you saw Zainjaki when he went for that aerial. That was a little bit more than he could chew. Just trying to force something happening, and it's creating mistakes instead of results. But with only 10 seconds left, up by 4. Obviously, game number 2 going to go to Cloud9, putting them at match point. And Shogun, if we look towards the next game, obviously there are things for Ghost that they're doing a little bit better. They are starting to play a little bit more aggressive. They're getting touches past people. But is that, do you think, because Cloud9 is playing so aggressive, or do you think it's because they are actually starting to read these challenges a bit better?
The challenges have not been a problem so far. When they actually get there, they've been winning the majority of them. The problem so far has been with the rotation. Because they're not quite aware of each other, they're obviously playing it a little bit more safe than they usually would, pulling themselves all the way back towards the defensive end, which against Cloud9 doesn't work. Against a lot of teams that probably would, because a lot of teams want to go off their backboard. If you're pulled back, you've got a lot more space to work with. But because Cloud9 makes such a good use of that midfield area, of those passing plays, you can't get there in time. And every single time that ends up happening, they can just take a shot. We saw a couple of those happening in this game. And it's allowing Cloud9 opportunities to just run forward for their shots, get power, and sometimes even take out players.
More than a couple times. They've been taking players all series so far. Both scorelines the exact same in game 1 and 2 at 5-1. But a lot of it does have to do with exactly that. You see the midfield play coming out from Cloud9 where they're able to send just one player to dribble it past and settle it right in front of the net. Usually Ghost does make those saves. They are able to, but as soon as they make those saves, they're not doing anything to get it out of their end to relieve some of that pressure. And that's where a lot of this issue is happening because of, like you said, the fundamentals of the rotation. Whose job is it to take this ball and clear it out? They're all scrambling to find out who that is, and then it leads to problems, and Cloud9 scores yet again.
Well, the big problem right now is Lefmir is usually their guy. Whenever they want to play the ball out, he is in the middle of the field. He is the target man. He's gone. And what we're seeing a lot in this series is Ghost Gaming, they get the ball, and they realize, oh, we have no one to aim for. So they're trying to dribble it, and every time they do, they are getting challenged by Cloud9, immediately being put back into that defensive end. They need a target man if they want any way of playing two balls to get the ball out of their defense. But we're now in game number 3, and Cloud9 trying to take themselves a clean sweep by knocking off Ghost Gaming in our second game of today's NA RLCS League play.
Obviously, there's still plenty of time left on the clock, but for me, this series was going to answer a lot of questions. What Ghost were we going to see this whole series? And now with Lefmir out, it still leaves a big question mark hovering over. But for Blues, he does have a chance to step up still. There's still plenty of time. Just needs to make a couple plays. As he tries to get a save there, Gimmick comes flying in. Puts one on the board for Cloud9.
It's exactly the point I was trying to make earlier. They are making very little use of that backboard. You see that didn't make contact even once. They're putting it all the way towards the middle, and those sort of balls can really throw you off, especially if you come in a little bit early on that defensive rotation.
We saw it too with Classics. He made the save, he pinched it out, played plenty of pace on it. Cloud9 just sitting there waiting for it. Just has the positioning down. They know exactly where this team is going to go before they do. Squishy trying to individually make a play inside. It's played by Classics, and those are the kind of clears that Ghost needs. High and lofted, just to give themselves some time to get into the area, to make some stops at the midfield.
That's going to be another pass straight into the middle. The passing plays, I almost wish we could have a trail following the ball the moment they start doing this, just so we can see exactly what the path is that they always go for, because it's so hard to read.
Really clean touch as well. Torrent plays that straight down to Squishy. And even though Squishy was over-rotated a little bit, he manages to jump up, flip his car around, and then boost directly back at the ground to get a nice pace of a pinch shot. Back into Gimmick, who is finally getting me those fantasy points I so desire.
Classic's going to try and get the second touch. So close to that one as well. It's going to be Torment putting that over to the side. That will not be on target as Blues gets it pushed.
Thankful to Classics as well, getting the demo, free up some of that issue in the midfield they've been having.
Squishy, ball control now over to him. He's got time, he's got people to aim for, and now Gimmick had a net to aim for, but he couldn't quite turn it in. Zane Jackie has to try and find a way. Classics is over on the side. Squishy getting a second touch, but that is way too much of an angle, so Torment will be forced to try and go for the set, but instead, Gimmick's got himself all the way back. You cannot afford, though, to be taking that much time. That midfield will be challenged by pretty much every single top team.
Especially when you have that open space, you need to be very decisive against a team like CLOUD9. As we're almost halfway through this match already. CLOUD9 up by 2. Very similar to the previous games we've seen so far. They start with a subtle lead and then really pack it on as the game starts to get going. You just see how freely Cloud9's able to move on this field. Gimmick just sitting there in the back line, bumping 2 players.
Oh, this is harsh right now. Lovely passing play. It's going to go for the backfield one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4. Cloud9, will you show me more?
Unbelievable plays as well. And the placement for him to hit that straight down. I don't even think Gimmick expected it to be that perfect. But it doesn't matter. The rotation's on point for this Cloud9 team. You see it, even if one does not get the finish, the next player on line just takes his step up. As Torrent finishes it off. Doesn't take much time, but this Ghost team just seemingly cannot find their footing. And a lot of that is due to just this Cloud9 team not giving them any chances to.
Gimmick couldn't quite read that off the awkward side of the wall. Very hard to read that is. Gimmick gonna try and come straight down. Very hard to get your car in front of the ball to try and actually force a solid challenge. Was not able to, but Cloud9 starting to start in this match and looking for those passing plays as much as possible. They want to try and keep themselves warm as well. They've got a huge match later on against G2. And the question also arises is, will Lefemir be able to sort everything out ahead of their next game later on? They've got Allegiance to play.
You know, a lot of it does show the worth of Lefemir and what he really allows for this Ghost team. You know, a lot of times we talk about, you know, players like Squishy who overshadow. You know, Gimmick has obviously made a name for himself. He's been doing fantastic this season. But Squishy still is the, you know, the overlining aspect of it because of his mechanical play, his flashy play, and kind of the unsung hero. And you see that from Lefemir as well. Even though Lefemir does a lot for the team, sometimes the credit, and mostly the credit last week, went to players like Zane simply because of the amount of shots he was putting on net and scoring. You know, support players, a huge proponent. I mean, one that's finally getting talked about this season, I would say, in the European side is Violent Panda. He's always been a setup man.
I like to call them the non-major stats sort of players, the ones that usually have a lot of stats in the miss pile.
They're
not
your
goals, not saves, not assists, but
they're your
do a lot
support
of work.
player.
The anti-Kronovi is what I like to call it. This Crow pretty much never goes to the miss stats. Usually one touch plays. It's Classic. It's going to get that one just over the top, but this will be going to Cloud9. A little unfortunate that we didn't get to see Lefemir in this series, but it is a win nonetheless, and it is going to be a big scare avoided for Cloud9. They're going to take this series and continue undefeated.
Yep, 4-0, pretty much guaranteeing themselves a spot where it matters most. Obviously, tiebreakers in their favor as well if they can beat Energy later on in the season. but for them, it's going to be a dominating fashion. Unfortunately, Gibbs, right again.
I don't like that.
Neither do I.
At least Gimmick got himself some points.
Good.
So my fantasy is at least saved. But yeah, I mean, even then, though, let's focus on the 2 regular players that we saw there for Ghost Gaming. Zane Jackie didn't score.
Nope.
That entire series. Only Classics came in with 1. Blues also got 1. Even with the situation, that is criminally low amount of goals being scored, and they might need to play with him later on. There's going to be opportunities, though. They can now go off into rank. They can get themselves some scrims, be more prepared heading into later on. I know what I'm prepared for right now, though. Actually, I'm never prepared for it. But we're going to have to listen to Gibbs and James Bot talk anyway. Axel Toss, over to you.
Thank you, Shogun and Lawler. Cloud9 gets a very comfortable victory there over Ghost. And again, unfortunately, Lethamyr was having connection issues, so he could not play. So Bluesy came in as a sub. Let's take a look at the Mobile One high-performance replay. Lots of plays from those Cloud9 guys.
Yeah, they just had a field day with this incomplete Ghost roster, having to sub in Blues last second too, so it wasn't even a planned substitution, so that even affects Ghost further. But Cloud9, they were impressive. We thought they were gonna, or Gibbs, you thought it was gonna be a 3-0 before we even knew about that substitution.
Not like this, James. Not like this. This is not what I wanted to see. It's unfortunate because probably not a lot of practice time again with Blues because Lethamyr, it just happened so quickly. Hopefully later we'll see Lethamyr back if he can figure out his internet issues. But honestly, it was the C9 show. There's not too much to say about this series. It just looked like they were outclassed. Also, like Lethamyr, I feel like is the heart of that team on Ghost. I feel like he's the best player on that team. Maybe not all the time like in the stats, but he's great at clears, great at controlling the ball. So without him, Classics and Zane just looked lost. Zane only 5 shots, 1 save in the entire 3-game series, and it was not pretty, but Cloud9 comes out with the win. Like, for them, it was pretty.
Yeah, lots of passing plays,
Yeah,
even like that one there.
He's just so creative on his passes plays.
And we both have Squishy and Gimmick on our fantasy team, so it's like...
We're geniuses. We knew this was going to happen.
Points. But yeah, it was unfortunate for Ghost. Hopefully Leth can go and find somewhere to go and move his computer to. Maybe
Seriously, public service announcement. Anyone live in the same neighborhood as Lethamyr, help him out. Invite him over.
Go over to Squishy's house.
He lives in Canada. Everyone in Canada is like 20 miles apart.
PC cafe or something he can go to.
Plus, you're frozen.
Call your ISP.
I'm just kidding.
Let's get Lethamyr back connected because we want to see him playing on this Ghost team. But let's talk about subs a little bit. This has been a common trend in RLCS from Season 1 with Over0, helping push iBuyPower Cosmic to the championship there, all the way to Season 3 this past season with Turbo coming in and helping out Northern as a sub to push him through to the championships. Blues doesn't quite have that Y at the end of his name, so he's not Bluey. But let's talk about subs in general, guys, as far as how important it is to have a really solid sub ready to go at any time for your team.
So I think with big orgs coming in, they have that chance to try and compensate those subs and try and pick up some really powerful subs. So then, like, they feel like they're at least getting their time out of it with some compensation for these players. But at the same time, I'm really selfish, James, and I want to see all these players on the field. So I hate when I see a really good player go to a sub, like do with the nose. Had a great offseason, then he goes to Energy. I'm like,
he's scared.
We're never going to see him.
He's afraid to be a starter.
Oh, of course. He's
also
definitely afraid. But it's very important to have a sub. At the same time, I want to see all these guys play, so it's tough.
And like you said, Axel, we have a history of subs coming up big. Over0 coming in, Turbo coming in, even like Jazer coming in during league play, performing well. Dude with the nose being a sub for NRG. But I think there is room for good players who are maybe deciding to play less, maybe focus a little more on other things, like Espeon, for example. He might be a really great sub pickup because he doesn't, he's not going to have time to compete normally, but if you might be able to pick him up and have him come in a situation like this, and he is a top tier player, would be able to fill in. But like you said, Gibbs, it is important to have a good sub.
All right, well, congrats to Cloud9 keeping their undefeated streak alive. Remember, they play a little bit later against G2. Speaking of whom, guess what's coming up next? It's G2. They're going to be going up against FlyQuest as RLCS North American League play continues. This is week 3 here on twitch.tv/Rocket League. We're going to take a short break. We'll be right back.